life to a very large extent is predictable. Every one of us are moving magnets. So whatever is happening in your life is a reflection of who you are becoming. The journey for me started out with mentorship. I will never forget.
Mentorship.
That's why my story can never be complete without mentioning Dr. Olumide. And it's actually business strategy that a lot of wealthy people use in creating wealth. That's why some people will never sell their property. Rather, they will put it for long leases. It takes person will get blood to donate blood. And the tanker where they supply fuel still require fuel to be able to get to the destination successfully. So the wisdom is that never share your oil. You're at liberty to share your light. But what most of us do is that we share the oil and then we run out of lights. And both us and the people who are trying to help end up in darkness.
We've never had a better tomorrow in Nigeria. There's always a better yesterday.
The final level is financial freedom. And the reason why it's the best place to be is because that's where you earn and get your highest sense of fulfillment.
The real conversation happens beyond the boardrooms. Join me at an intersection of business and lifestyle. Where suits meet t-shirts. This is the Frankly Business Podcast. Welcome.
Welcome, guys. This is another episode of the Frankly Business Podcast. You know how we do it here. We break it down for you to really understand what is happening in industries, across different industries. But this time around, we're having this conversation in a very friendly way, not just to make you our friends, but also to really explain this thing and also make it very much relatable for you to understand the world of business. This is the Frankly Business Podcast, and we're talking about what is really happening in the real estate space. There's a lot of issues around the real estate space. The price skyrockets. An average Nigerian necessarily can't afford a real estate in a prime location in this part of the world, in Lagos State. So beyond all these conversations, how can you as a low-income earner or a mid-income earner afford a real estate portfolio? Which is, if you never get real estate, you never get asset. Yeah, I will put them that way. Real estate is actually the hallmark of all investments. I'll give you a classic example. The hospitality industry, hotels that you know, they sell hospitality, but the underlying model of their business operations is real estate. They're actually selling real estate. The supermarket you go to buy your groceries, you think they're into the retail industry. Yes, they sell you your sweets, your biscuits, your groceries. But underlying model of their business is real estate. Why am I saying this? For you to be able to put your goods, your product on their shelf, you will pay for putting your product on their shelf. That shelf is real estate. So real estate cuts across all industry. It's something that you can't do without. And now when you don't get land, your mind go stand by gidigba, no say, oh, yes, I've gotten an investment. Because anything can happen anywhere. You can lose your car if you think your car is an investment. You can lose your cryptocurrencies. You can lose your stocks. Stocks fee go up, come down. You can lose everything in this world, but you can't lose land. Even if they demolish the building, the land is still there. If they carry the sand away from that land, the land is still there. It's something that is unmovable. It's something that is unshakable. So it's an investment that would transcend generations. It's an investment that, bad as it bad, is still there. And it's still there. Nobody can steal it away. Even if they're following you from village, nothing can happen to that property. So that's the beautiful thing about real estate. And that's why we're looking at how can you as a mid-income earner invest in the real estate space. Don't forget, this is the Frankly Business Podcast, guys. And I don't do this alone. I have gentlemen, I have people who are trailblazers in their industry. I've got Mr. Kelechi Ogoke, who is here with us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Kelechi. And he's a fantastic man. Mr. Kelechi, tell them who you are. Make an talk so much. Make the hear from the horse's mouth.
Okay, so my name is Kelechi. I co-own Godfather Production and also a mental health advocate in Nigeria. So, but you said something about they cannot take your land away. Yeah. And I wanted to ask you to our guest too. Have you met Lagos or Manile?
But the land still did the position. If you check the geolocation of that land, it's still there.
But it's no longer your land. If they get involved. So that was my first question to him. Before we introduced.
So I've got a gentleman, and he's a trailblazer in the real estate industry. He's a Okbon Tarigi. That's what we call it from where I'm from. Okbon Tarigi. Person maybe say, solid man for that for real estate industry. He's the founder and CEO of LifePage real estate company, and they've done phenomenal well in the real estate space. Here today, Canada, here tomorrow, US, everywhere around the world. He's got his book also, Roadmap to Financial Freedom, Financial Freedom Master Guide. That's his book. And when somebody actually writes decades of experience in the book, you should know that this person is someone of timber and caliber in that particular industry. That's why I thought of no other person to bring to have this conversation with in a relaxed manner, to just let's have a friendly conversation about the real estate space, the scams. A lot of people have got their fingers burnt, and I've got no other person than Mr. Oladipupo Clement. Mr. Oladipupo Clement, you're very much welcome to the Frankly Business Podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Kelechi.
So, what's your take about the real estate space? What's your take, Jay?
So I want to pick it from where Kelechi.
Yeah.
It's I think the idea he was trying to promote is the fact that the safest, form of investment anywhere in the world is still land, is still real estate. That is still the safest. Even if you are not able to liquidate your assets, you know that your money is somewhere. If you put money in other forms of, instruments, like he was mentioning crypto, mentioning stock and all of those things, in a very volatile economy, those things can be up today and be down tomorrow, and then your money can, just evaporate into thin air.
Can I give you a classic example?
Yes.
GSK, a particular pharmaceutical company in Nigeria, they just got delisted last week from Nigerian Stock Exchange. Why? They left Nigeria. So investors there, what happens to their money? Well, I don't know if you get my point.
Will investors send any alerts?
No, I question for my brother.
So,
Yeah.
So I mean, to a very, very large extent, real estate is, it's the safest. I know of no other. And again, land are no longer being manufactured, and so the longer it stays, just like fine wine, the longer the fine wine stays, the sweeter it gets, the more expensive it gets. The same thing with land. The longer it stays, the more expensive it gets, the more valuable it becomes. Today we talk Ikoyi, we talk Victoria Island, we even talk Lekki, we talk so-called Aja. Some 10 years ago, when our business was still at its infancy, those territory was more or less like, when will development come here? When will development get here? I imagine 30 years ago, I still have one of the real estate moguls in the country. He's been in the business since the late 90s. And he told me how much he sold landed properties, in the Lekki corridor. He sold land for 30,000, for 50,000. Of course, at that time too, that was a lot of money, but people who had the means to acquire properties at the time, didn't take advantage of that. And today, many of them don't have any property to their name. So property, real estate is really the name of the game. There's no smart way. I mean, even if you say you want to go into tech, right? All your cloud computing is not in the cloud. It's actually domiciled in the data center that is located on a piece of real estate. So, whether you would like, there's no way you want to go about it.
Yeah.
Real estate is a real deal.
I was watching TikTok one day and they met a man and they asked him, please tell us, how did you make your money? And he said, because of him, Google can run effectively. And they asked him, why did you say so? He said, he owns all the old data centers all over the world that Google store their data. That if he get crashed today, Google goes up the market and they pay him for that.
Who's that man? That one needs to be protected.
No, I've forgotten his name, but it just shows the fact that, yes, despite the fact that I want to be tech savvy, we are the generation that is coming online. Yeah. There's still need for having physical assets, and land is the best. And for the end of my generation, this conversation is not on the mainstream. Nobody tells you about the need for land. The first time I heard it was when I was in church, a pastor came in then, Pastor Matthew Yoshim was, he came in to preach, and he told us how they developed Lekki VI, and that was the day I was like, okay, I'm going to own a piece of land.
Yeah.
So for the younger generation now coming up, and they don't have an idea of how the real estate sector in this country works, because it's not mainstream. We rather see that, the price of bread is the price of bread is going up, than saying, okay, there's an opportunity here. So what are the ABC steps in getting started in real estate in the Nigerian context?
Okay, so I'm into the business of real estate, no doubt, but I'm actually primarily in the business of making lives richer. Real estate is only a means. Real estate is a vehicle for me, and I consider it one of the most, not just most reliable vehicle for creating wealth, but also a vehicle for retaining the wealth. So my approach to real estate may be slightly different from a vast majority of other people. So I would like to take it from the steps to becoming really financially free, right? There are 3 critical things you must master. And then I will now pick up on real estate.
Yes.
So I hope we can flow.
Yeah.
So there are 3 things you must master in your journey to financial freedom. Financial freedom, essentially, there are about 5 levels in your journey to financial freedom. The first level is where majority of people are. It's called financial crisis. And, it's either you are not making income at all, and it's a delicate place to be, or you are making money, but the assets, your liabilities are weightier, than your assets. So there are billionaires who are in financial crisis, right? Because there's no liquidity, you have low liquidity or no liquidity, right? But you are heavy you have portfolio of assets, but you don't have cash flow.
Yeah.
So that spells financial crisis. The second level is financial instability, and this speaks to people that were discussing earlier, people in the middle class level, especially those in the low. It's true. The disparity between the low income and high or upper income class is very, very, very wide.
So what you're saying, if you call yourself middle class, you're poor.
You're really poor, because I get to that shortly. But there's a report I saw in 2021 that an average Nigerian, 75% of Nigerians earn less than 100,000 naira. Right? So that classifies, and financial instability is the point in your life where your take home, no, they take you home.
They stop you for Yaba.
So that's actually financial instability. Then you have financial stability. Financial stability is that point in your life where, to a very large extent, there's some degree of financial equilibrium. So you live fairly comfortable, your children go to good school, you live in a nice neighborhood. But the challenge with that category of people, which for me and my assessment, is that's where majority of the so-called middle class professionals, that's where they fall in. In order for them to live on to keep earning income at that level, they have to work. So should anything tamper with their source of livelihood, they are back to financial instability or financial crisis. And it's a very dangerous place you don't want to be. And so to move up for that, you find financial independence. And for many years, I also used to confuse financial independence freedom. Financial independence is that point in your life where the proceeds from your asset and investment and family need without you having to work another day. In other words, what that simply means, just so that we can break it down, is that if you are earning 12 million a year, you have an asset that if you lose that job, you have an asset that can replace 12 million.
An average Nigerian earns, let's use a classic example. An average Nigerian, let's say an average middle class earner in Nigeria, let's say 200,000.
And 499.
And 499. So let's use 200,000 naira, which is like midpoint. So if an average Nigerian is earning 200,000 naira times 12 is 2.4 million per year.
Yeah.
So can we use that as a classic example?
No, I won't use that, because 200,000 naira as of today in dollars is less than $200. And if you earn $200, let me not. I mean, I don't want to sound disrespectful, condescending, right? I just believe that there are.
But the economy has been disrespectful to Nigerians. Disrespectful to Nigerians. Your money now, your 200,000 now globally.
Yeah,
it's more or less like a daily income in some countries.
It's not even up to daily income it's not even up to hourly income in some countries. Yeah, the truth still remains that whether you like it or not, like I said earlier, when we did Yan earlier,
Yeah.
it's not going to get better.
That's like a sad reality. Just
No,
have to accept.
it's something that this is what keeps me.
But if you look at it, it's true. I remember buying egg 20 naira growing up. What was 10 naira? You buy Indomie 25 naira. Buy egg 10 naira. 30 naira. You don't hold body. But now, when I heard the price of egg, it's closing on 200 naira. The crate is 3.5. So we've never had a better tomorrow in Nigeria. There's always a better yesterday, economically. So now, what you're trying to say now is that
You can't
control
buy.
the Nigerian
You
factor.
can't.
You can only control your own. I can only control the Frank factor.
Mhm.
You can only control the Kelechi factor. You can only control the Life Page and the Clement factor. You can't control the Lagos State factor, the Nigerian factor, the African factor. So
I think
where do we go from here?
I think people should take a picture of this podcast and put in their house. No one. I'm just being sincere. Because he's the second person coming on the show and telling us it's not Nigeria, it's you. And sorry to say, your pastors don't tell you that on Sundays.
Some do.
They do, some do. Some they talk real.
But I'm just telling you that take a picture and just put it in your house. Well, please go on. Sorry, you said
All right. So the final level. So again, financial independence is not a bad place to be.
Yeah.
And there are quite a few people who get to that level in their lifetime. But the final level is financial freedom. And the reason why it's the best place to be is because that's where you earn and get your highest sense of fulfillment, right? This is the point in your life where the proceeds from your asset and investment is not only capable of meeting your personal and family needs, but also able to extend goodness and kindness to others, right? So the ultimate plan of God, our Creator, is not to bless us, but to make us a blessing, right? And I don't know about you, but when you have something that you share with other people, there's a feeling you can't replace by other way.
Very true.
Right? So all these amassing and acquisition, the question should be, how many people are on scholarship on my account? How many? And this is my own motivation, really, for wanting to be.
Well, people will say that. That idea is even the way to sieve out the wheat from the chaff.
Absolutely.
Because if I see, it's just like when we always say that you enter downfall, you see one man, you go stand up. Like they said, this book, it will make you rich in 5 days, get wealthy in 10 days. You tell the man, read you. Why you they say to give me? Let's read down. Now your life I go use take change, right? That's what we always say. And if there's a thin line between sharing the information, some people use sharing the information as a source of making money.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially ML. I know I mentioned them. MLM, all those multi-level marketing. Buy one product, you become a millionaire in 2 days. It's that product that they are using to sustain. Especially all those ones with pyramid scheme and all that. How do you now know the person with good intentions of passing information that will liberate others, and somebody who is actually taking advantage of creating wealth for himself through passing that information? I don't know if you understand it.
I get that drift. Yeah, I get it a lot.
And Nigerians always fall victim.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Truth is that these so-called ideas and principles and concepts are easier said than done. Okay, so whether we like it or not, the practitioners are not usually the talkers. And the talkers,
content creators.
are not the content creators. So some of us have now made it a life commitment to, say, okay, whatever it is, let me see how I can curate the seed or the principle. Because see, life to a very large extent is predictable, right? In order to harvest, sow a seed or plant a seed, right? So that makes harvest of fruits very predictable. So there's sunset, there's sunrise, and that gives you an idea that, okay, every 24 hours, sun will set, every 24 hours, sun will rise.
Yeah.
So you can plan, you can project, and all of those things. So in the same way, success to a very large extent is also predictable. Years ago, I was in a meeting And the coordinator of that meeting asked a question. He said, is it possible to predict tomorrow? Is it possible to predict the future? And everybody started looking at one another. I mean, I was much, much younger then, and broke people used to call me broke. You know what I mean? When broke people call you broke, the definition of that is that you're a broker. And then I recall that I lifted up my hands in spite of my, physical, economic states at the time, but I had a good understanding of some of the things I'm saying, and nobody perhaps would listen to me. That's why I'm referring to that experience. And I lifted up my hand and said, yes, it's very possible. Actually, February 20 will make it 24 years. I ran into a meeting and I set my eyes on a mentor. And that from that day, I told myself, the decision to even go to that meeting that day was, I did it reluctantly because I was meant to be elsewhere. And showing up in that meeting, I told myself what I was looking for in Sokoto was right here in Sokoto. And that began the journey for me. Having the right mentor is pivotal to where I am today and wherever I hope to even be in the future. Because frank with you, to be frank,
Yeah.
Yet there, we're still the journey is still very, very, very far. Where we are right now is a far cry, from where we are coming from. But the journey is still very, very, very far. So, but the journey for me started out, with mentorship. I would never forget.
Mentorship.
That's why my story can never be complete without mentioning Dr. Olumide. It can never be complete.
School of Money.
Yeah, can never be complete.
I stumble on his video a lot on YouTube, and he's one man I watch like from starting to ending.
I remember when he
filled up.
Maybe you need to.
By the way, one day we will have it.
We need to have it.
Would have it's a preference.
Okay, so going back to real estate, I'll give you a scenario. I was the business manager for one of the cinemas in a prime location in Lagos.
Okay.
And I was just roaming around the mall one day, and the man came with a tape. And he said, okay, that man is from one of the banks in Nigeria. He's coming to reevaluate the property. It seems the owner of that property, I'm withholding names a lot. It seems the owner of that property is reevaluating his property so he can take loan and buy one big major franchise in Nigeria. And that property is in the primest. You know what's prime upon prime?
Special prime.
Okay, let me just give a scoop. The new train station in Ikeja is located in our real estate. And they say, okay. Then I was just asking one of my friends, he's the top management. I was like, what's happening? He was like, okay, they're evaluating the land to go get a loan from the bank to use it to acquire another franchise again. And that shows you the power of real estate.
Absolutely.
So I want to understand that math of, okay, I bought a land 5 years ago for 50 million and I got a loan from the bank with that land, 50 million. 10 years after, that land has appreciated to 200 million. Can I go to the bank and say, okay, my asset has appreciated, I need more money? Okay, how does it work?
Okay, so real estate is such a powerful vehicle, and especially when it has a clean title and it's in a fast or in a developed area, fast developing or developed area, you can always borrow against it. I mean, when the potential value of the real estate is way higher than the money you want to access, we will not give you money.
True.
Do you get? So, and it's actually business strategy that a lot of wealthy people use in, creating wealth. That's why some people will never sell their property. Rather, they will put it for long leases because they can still borrow against that property, something major, and create multiple streams of income.
You see why you should take a picture? Scoop. But this is something like the elites don't want you to know.
Oh.
I have a mentor. I consult for him from time to time, and he just had everything that he.
Shut up, ignorance.
Oh, he damaged my ignorance. I like using that phrase. I'm like, they just two of them. They just stepped into the meeting with their native, and after the meeting, they say, "Okay, we'll get back to you." They say, "Let's go and take a picture." I'm like, okay.
That's really helpful.
So I was like, what gave you that audacity? And he was like, when he started making money early, one of the first things he did was to go to prime locations in Port Harcourt, in Calabar, in Abuja, and he acquired a lot of real estate. So now if he needs money to, let's say he does oil and gas, he does trucking services. So if he needs money to ship in one container of oil, he knows that he can go put this property up. They will give him the money from any microfinance bank and he'll go get it done. On his birthday, one of the major banks called and said, "Happy birthday, sir." On my birthday, nobody has called me to say. So you can see the amount of value that he brings to the bank. And like I keep saying, I earn 100,000. How do I grow to the point whereby I could get those assets without stealing, without stealing anybody's funds? How do I go to the point where
Without going into politics.
don't know yet? I could get those assets.
Yeah.
How do I get to the point whereby I could use those assets to do business, create jobs, and the cycle continues?
So, I started a train of thoughts earlier on, and I was going to say to move from financial crisis or financial instability to financial freedom, there are 3 things you must master. And those 3 things I must emphasize. The journey to financial freedom is not an overnight journey. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon.
Please, can you add Gen Z to your statement? That thing.
You want that sharp?
You see, you want to hammer, you want to blow. Now, there are a lot of possibilities, but you see, sometimes the shortcuts sometimes lead to long routes and long cuts. So stick with very predictable, and then when you experience rainfalls, periodic rainfalls, then you leverage it to advance your course, right? So there are 3 things you must master. And so that whether you are leveraging real estate or you're going to business or whatever, again, for that gentleman, the strength of his cash flow, not just the assets, is part of the reason why he could have such a credit line. So
that's why cash flow is king.
Oh, well, cash flow is king. So
not even cash.
Not just cash flow, not just cash flow. The fact that recurring, revenue in the account, money is coming in, that is extremely crucial.
But that's so what you're saying is it's a business. You can't have consistent cash flow from salary.
Yeah, no, I mean, if you depending on the type of property you also own, right? If you have a long lease or you have maybe monthly rent, you can borrow against that. So if I have 500 million that comes in every year from a parcel of property, and you give me credit line that I'm supposed to pay back over a 5-year period, what I'm going to generate in 2 years will pay, or in 3 years approximately, will pay off that loan. But again, I want to leverage that money not to eat. I want to leverage to create another income stream, right? Or advance or expand, what I'm already doing. You get the point I'm making. So I think that's the very fundamental part. But let me go back to 3 things that wherever you are right now, and I speak to those who are Gen Zs, like you mentioned, and then whether you are earning between 100,000, even if you are not earning money at all, take note of these 3 things. Everything you will ever learn as far as wealth creation is concerned is premised on these 3 things. And it has taken me more than 2 decades.
2 decades
to come to this conclusion.
Some people don't understand the word.
Okay, 20 years. That's taking me more than 20 years to come to this conclusion. So both based on research and based on personal experience. My working experience now is almost 24 years too. So I'm not a small, boy. I'm a young man, but I'm not a small boy in that real sense of the word. Master. One is personal transformation. And that's very, very critical. You see, in life, you don't attract what you want. And at the risk of sounding like a motivational speaker, right? You don't attract what you want, you attract who you are. Every one of us are moving magnets. So whatever is happening in your life is a reflection of who you are becoming. So personal transformation, that's the evidence around who you are becoming. and it comes through personal development. This type of conversation we are having is helping someone to shape their belief system, shape their thought patterns, shape their, energy levels, like we were discussing earlier too. Because money responds to energy. Money is either running away from you or running toward you. The kind of energy you are transmitting will determine what you are attracting or repelling. Hardly would you meet any millionaire or billionaire, right, in any currency of the world, who does not have one issue or another, who does not have a crisis, challenge they're dealing with at one point or another, because business itself is about solving problems.
Very true.
But you will never feel that energy. Sometimes everybody feel that billionaires are comfortable, they are wealthy, they are lucky, they are fortunate. But the reason is that rather than focus on the problem, they focus on what will solve the problem. Right? So they focus on what will solve the problem. So your personal transformation is the greatest investment. Most times when people ask me, what's the best investment vehicle and all of those, I tell them, invest in yourself. You are the most important critical success factor. If it must be, it's up to you. So investing in who you are becoming is critical. So beyond the school, your university degree and all of that, when was the last time you read a book on real estate, or read a book on creating wealth? When was the last time you read a book on making money, or multiplying money, or managing money? When was the last time you read a book? Who is your mentor? These are the things that contribute. Who are your associates? Who are your friends? Right? John Mason said many years ago, you are the same person 5 years from now, except for two things: the books you read and the company you keep. The books you read talks about information. The friends or the company you keep talks about your association.
But sorry.
Yeah.
This day and age, the way they consume content is through audio.
Mm-hmm.
So people, the attention span of people have really reduced drastically.
Absolutely.
And credit to tech, social media. Mark, important for
you. Apologize.
He has really affected the attention
Very
of
true.
people, and so people can no longer pay attention to sitting down, reading a particular book. They'll rather consume that through other means.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why I'm saying this is, in those days there were no books. There was times that there were no books. They were writing on scrolls.
Yeah.
It has evolved. That's technology.
Yeah.
There are times that they were writing on stones. The 10 Commandments was written on stone, right? And so it has evolved over time.
Yeah.
Now we're in the day of digital consumption, and people consume content either via videos, via podcasts. Do you also think that can be a replacement for books?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, audiobooks, ebooks, there are other versions of, and then even video programs. These are all, derivatives of books, right? So I read my Bible, for example, every day, right? And I have book platforms where the book is read to me because of my very crazy schedule. So, I don't want to go into that because it would derail our thoughts, but very busy executives are now realizing now that you need to begin to buy, business summaries, book summaries. Most business executives spend tons of hours in executive meetings, in management meetings, board meetings, and hardly have time to really. So right now, there are books that have been broken down in soluble formats, right? So in 15 minutes, you can digest a book that will have taken you weeks to read. And these are all forms of ways. So to just confirm that there are other formats by which you can consume books. Yeah, but as at the time he said it, were the things that book is still relevant today. I mean, my biggest asset today is my library, right? So books are still very, very relevant. And so in the light of the attention span that is fast, eroding or being eroded, I think it's important to also recognize that we all learn, we have different learning styles. There are those of us who are audiovisual, there are those of us who are, some of those of us who are auditory, those of us who are visual in nature, and those of us who are kinesthetics.
Yeah.
We like practicals. We like, they must show me, just show me. Yeah, show how it works. And we absorb and retain information much more that way. So I think that's about the book.
Yeah.
And then of course the association. Listen, if you move with 5 rich guys, you'll be the 6th, just a matter of time. See, one of the key reasons, and I want to state it here, one of the key reasons why a lot of people who may be struggling financially have a hard time forming such relationships is poor self-esteem. And so you relate with people who are doing, billions in turnover weekly or monthly, and it's like
Still doing urgent 2K.
and you're still doing urgent 2K. Sometimes it's like, boy, you never settle your rent. This guy, they talk, they scatter your brain. You need to be comfortable around you need such environments. You need such network and relationships. And that's why the kind of money you pay to attend certain courses or certain events is not just to take something from people, is to find the way they think. Listen, the greatest value you can draw from any wealthy person is to find out how they think, because it is responsible for why they are where they are. It's time to query our thoughts. You think you are the one deciding things for yourself. No, you were programmed to act that way at even a subliminal level, right? I'm very big also on the mind, but so that's what the personal transformation bit is about.
Yeah.
The second part, which you need to, and I can go on and on. I mean, you can go on my YouTube channel. I do a lot. I have a lot of sessions that I've done that on that. And then the second phase is, income generation, planning, and application, right? Once you get your personal transformation, you got your mindset right, you start seeing opportunities, start recognizing things that can bring in money, and all of those things. Because again, if you don't make money, you can't manage or multiply the money you have not yet made. So making money is fundamental. So I call personal transformation foundation for wealth creation, but I call making money the pillar of wealth creation.
But I want to say something, and this is very, very touchy, but I need to say it. Please. Have you heard of black tax?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Have you heard of black tax? Like,
I've not just heard it.
Yeah.
I'm on it.
There are some people that are they are the first generation millionaires in their family.
Yeah.
And their lineage is very poor. They come from, sorry, maybe I'm not being quote unquote, I'm not using my word very clearly.
Use it, don't worry.
But I got stuck as the
I beg.
We are from a little country.
No. Like, you're the first millionaire in your family, and the people behind your back, many. If that money comes in 1 million naira, sometimes the only money we feature are 50K. Because you guys transfer to this person. Let me even say itself. There's something happening right now. Like, there's a barrier. I had money come into my house recently, and they say, we need to contribute for burial. And I said, the person don't die. And they said, we need to contribute for burial. And we have divided the money. And your own is this one. And I was paying the money. I was so angry in my spirit from going to the... So my question, not to take our time, my question is, how do you deal with black tax? How do you grow? And how do you multiply money?
Black tax, income.
So it's a whole lot of conversation here. What you have unwrapped, we need another episode to unpack it. But I'll say this. In order to, you are very spot on when you said most of us are first generation billionaires, fourth generation millionaires, and the rest of them. The truth is that you can't make progress as fast as you should if you are carrying weights and drags. You can't. It's not impossible. And go and find out those who have broken through. There were specific things they did. Listen.
But so you're contradicting what Davido said. You rise by lifting others.
And no, I would tell you.
Davido father is a billionaire.
It's a different.
It's a different point. Now when your mother is selling pepper.
So I would tell you in all sincerity. I will tell you sincerely.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will tell you sincerely. You see, it takes person will get blood to donate blood. And the tanker where they supply fuel still require fuel to be able to get to the destination successfully. So the wisdom is that never share your oil. You are at liberty to share your light. Because your light depends on the oil to continue to burn But what most of us do is that we share the oil and then we run out of lights. And both us and the people who are trying to help end up in darkness.
Ooh.
So if you really want to do something more sustainable, the best way to do it is to empower the same people, because to a very large extent, majority of the people you think you are helping, you are enabling high-level responsibility. And so it offered such people jobs. You now understand that really they are very lazy. They are not willing to commit to anything and all of that. And again, you were not the one that gave birth to them. You were not intentionally part of those who made the decision to bring them to life. Now, I am not saying, now listen, I have a foundation, right? I mean, up until yesterday, we pay school fees for people. You understand what I'm talking about? Yeah. So, and the reason why I chose my foundation to focus on education and empowerment is largely because I realized that if you give somebody fish, you will need to keep giving it to them. But if you teach somebody how to fish, then you have empowered them to not only be self-sustained, but also help other people, right? So, and I think that's the only way out of this so-called black tax and all of those things. Yeah, be kind to people. Again, structure it in such a way that you don't kill the goose that lays the egg, right? You want to make sure that what is being produced, then you structure it. Have a welfare account. There's nothing saying you should not, we rise by lifting up others, not by going down and lifting them up. You'll be amazed that some of the people you are helping believe that no matter how much you give to them, they believe that you have much more before you give them.
Yeah, true.
So if you empty, shed your blood, they still believe that no, there must be something back up. So it has to be well structured, it has to be well laid out. So income generation is very important.
Yeah.
And to make money is about solving problems. Money is a means of exchange of value, and it's about adding value, it's about meeting needs. So if you are able to identify gaps, identify concerns that people have, and you are able to connect, sometimes it's not about you producing or creating the product. It's actually about you finding those who have the solution to the problem other people have, and bridging the gap. Be the middleman.
And you get
the business of today and the future are those connecting buyer to seller.
Funny enough, this thing you're talking about, I heard about it some years ago in the fundraising industry, where I know a particular billionaire or an investor or someone who's interested in investing in business, in businesses or startups. You don't have a startup, but you know someone who is very focused, has a startup, but struggling with finances. You get with investment. What you can just do is connect both the investor with the startup founder. Connect both. Once they raise, you get a particular percentage. As long as it's been documented before the raise. The people that get 10%, 5%,
a lot.
You get 7% from all these raises we see across the tech ecosystem. So what you're saying is,
it's not even only the tech. It's been an age-long business model, right? The entire business of Amazon is on what?
It's connected back. They just own the platform. All my friends, if I do you a favor, my 10% is there. I won't let you go for free.
I mean, you want to now monetize it. Yeah, you want to monetize whatever it is, build a structure around it. It doesn't mean you should stop doing the favors.
No. I'll tell you, I'll do it for you. My 10% is there. If they say no, I'll say go and watch Frankly Business Podcast. You see where they say you should collect 10%. I'm connecting you to somebody. You give my everything.
Yeah.
the next one.
Yeah, so so that's pretty much about making money.
Yeah.
We can go on and on, but the third phase is asset accumulation, optimization and retention, right? So you can have all the assets in this world, but if you don't know how to optimize it, the assets will just be dead assets. So that's also pretty much, and then of course you want to retain it for legacy and to outlive you. And all of that.
You heard it from Mr. Frank, you heard it from Mr. Clement about wealth creation, real estate, asset accumulation, portfolio, building up your portfolio. Yes, this conversation doesn't go mainstream. That's why we're trying to make it a culture here to bring people that not just inspire you, but also give you steps into changing your life, into building your assets, into becoming who you want to be. Everybody has a dream, but the framework to achieving those dreams is what keeps people where they are. So from the team at Frankly Business Podcast, from Frank himself, from the team setting up the camera and the lights, we say thank you for watching. Go back, watch other videos, like, subscribe, share, tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend, that kind of thing. We'll see you next time. Take care.
The real conversation happen beyond the boardrooms. Join me at an intersection of business and lifestyle. Where suits meet t-shirts. This is the Frankly Business Podcast. Welcome.